Today, I'm going to share with you 5 strategies to leverage a high LSAT score over a low GPA in the law school admissions process. If you are a so-called splitter, this one's for you. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, I was a so-called splitter applicant. I had a relatively lower undergrad GPA, something like a 3.4 if I remember correctly, but I was able to balance it out with a higher LSAT score. And if you are a splitter, don't lose hope. In fact, law schools love splitters. They weigh LSAT scores more heavily than undergraduate GPAs in the law school admissions process for a number of reasons I will get into in this video. But before I do, my first strategy for you here is to emphasize your high LSAT score as a better predictor of your ultimate success in law school than your undergraduate GPA. You may want to write an addendum, an optional essay, in your application highlighting why your undergraduate GPA is not a good reflection of your academic abilities relative to your much higher LSAT score, meaning that you want to direct the admissions committee's attention to your LSAT score as a more accurate, perhaps more current reflection of your academic abilities than your undergraduate GPA was. And so in this addendum, which by the way, should be concise, matter of fact, just a couple hundred words at most, you want to briefly outline any extenuating factors that could have contributed to your low GPA, like personal issues, illness, work commitments, family obligations. Of course, you do want to take responsibility for any of these issues without making excuses and demonstrate how you've grown and changed since that time. If you have an upward trend in your undergraduate GPA, definitely mention that as well. Much better to have a lower GPA followed by a higher one than vice versa. But of course, it is what it is. If the opposite is the case for you, that's okay. Also, work with what you got and again, explain without excusing any extenuating factors that could have contributed to the lower GPA and show how these won't be an issue for you going forward. So strategy number 1, write an addendum. Strategy number 2, craft a compelling personal statement to tell your unique story. Of course, law school admissions is more so the numbers than the essays, but every little bit matters. Give it your all in your personal statement to tell your unique story. Share how your life experience have shaped your character, shaped who you are, and show your commitment to law as a profession. Explain why law school is the natural next step for you in your academic career, and highlight any challenges that you've overcome on your journey so far. Law school is tough. Law schools want to know that you're going to be able to stick it out, that you can demonstrate persistence, that you are a resilient person able to adapt to difficult situations. And one thing I found in reviewing my students' essays is that a lot of them are far too general and generic. Wherever you can, use specific anecdotes, colorful details to help your story come to life. Now, your personal statement doesn't necessarily have to directly say why law school, why now, but you do want to highlight that somewhere in your application. If not in your personal statement, then in your resume or in your letters of rec, which brings me to strategy number 3, get the strongest possible letters of recommendation from professors, from employers, from supervisors in internships or volunteer work. You want people who have supervised you directly and can speak to the quality of your work and again, your persistence, your work ethic, and your problem-solving skills. If you can secure at least 2, that's great. Ideally, at least 3 if you can. And draft your personal statement before you reach out to ask for the letter of rec, ideally, so that you can share it with your recommender to give them more context, to help them write a more comprehensive letter. You may want to also give them some bullet points or talking points to give them some specifics, especially if it's been a while since you worked with them, to help give them a bit more detail to include in your rec letter. And by the way, if your recommender exhibits any hesitation about writing the letter for you, take that seriously. It may indicate that they don't think they're the best person to write you a letter, or they may not write you the strongest letter, and instead you may want to ask someone else instead. If you're watching this earlier in the process, take some time now to cultivate strong relationships that can lead you to get stronger letters down the line. Now, strategy number 4 relates to your resume. Wherever you can, highlight your professional experience, any work experience, internship experience, and extracurricular involvement, ideally anything related to legal settings, showing real-world exposure to the actual practice of the law. If you have been a paralegal, if you've worked in public service in any capacity, any organizations or clubs in undergrad or in graduate school, totally fine to mention those. You don't need to have worked as a paralegal. Of course, it can help. And if you haven't, that's totally fine. Again, work with what you've got. Any leadership roles you've had that indicate ability to take initiative, demonstrating responsibility will be helpful as well. Now, finally, strategy number 5, demonstrate why you want to go to their school in particular. Show how you would fit in on their campus and how you would contribute to their law school community. Some law schools ask directly, why do you want to go to our school in particular? Others don't, but still leave room for an optional essay. Take advantage of that optional essay. Never miss a chance to share more about yourself with the law school admissions officers. Do some research, review their website in depth, visit their campus if you can, mention specific clinics or courses or professors that are attracting you to their school in particular. Even if you can't visit the campus, still attend any admissions webinars that you can or any online law school fairs to show and demonstrate interest in their school in particular. You can even reach out to current students or alums through LinkedIn and have a conversation with them, and then later mention that in your optional essay to show why you are serious about their school in particular. Now, as I said earlier, of course, LSAT is the biggest factor, GPA second, the personal statement, the letter of rec, the resume, and the why our school in particular essays are all less in comparison, less impactful in comparison, but that doesn't mean they don't play a role. And you won't never want to miss a chance to put together the strongest possible application to boost your odds wherever you can. And if you are a splitter, again, don't worry, because law schools will weigh your LSAT score more heavily than your undergraduate GPA, in part because it is more predictive of your first-year law school grades than your GPA is. Undergraduate GPAs are subject to significant grade inflation more and more as time goes on, and law schools aren't able to easily calculate differences in grade inflation between different schools and between different majors as well. Hard sciences, for example, having less grade inflation and less forgiving curves than humanities-related majors, while the LSAT is a constant point of comparison regardless of your undergraduate background, regardless of what you majored in, or the varying grade inflation between different schools. If you look at the stats from LSAT, where law schools will share exactly the formula they use, weighting LSAT relative to GPA, almost all of the 200 law schools that are ABA approved weigh LSAT more heavily. And so take solace in the fact that even if your undergraduate GPA isn't what you would have wanted to be, you still have room to make a significant impact in your admissions chances through getting the highest possible LSAT score and by putting together the strongest possible application. And if you'd like my help getting the highest possible LSAT score, we'd be glad to help. At LSAT Unplugged, we offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.